A good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us here on Rwanda Television News tonight. We do hope you had yourselves a productive Tuesday. Now here's a sneak peek of our edition tonight. The Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning says it is continuing to find sustainable solutions to the challenges affecting the operations of Umurenge Sacco cooperatives. The Rwanda Revenue Authority has announced that in the 2024-2025 fiscal year, it's collected 3,079.8 billion Rwandan francs in taxes, exceeding its target of 3,041.2 billion Rwandan francs by 1.3%. On the international scale, the U.S. is to resume deliveries of weapons to Ukraine. U.S. President Donald Trump says they will send additional supplies to Kyiv after Russia claimed new gains in the war. Once again, we're glad to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali, and I bring you tonight's edition is Martina Abera. Let us begin with informing you that the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning says it is continuing to find sustainable solutions to the challenges affecting the operations of Umurenge Sacco cooperatives, including taking legal action against individuals responsible for the losses that continue to affect some of them. These points were highlighted in a detailed explanation delivered by Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Yusuf Murangwa, to the plenary session of the Chamber of Deputies, outlining the ministry's efforts to address issues affecting SACCOs across the country. The reports contain 16 major issues, which Minister Yusuf Murangwa elaborated on before the plenary session. These issues are related to poor service delivery within Umurenge Sacco cooperatives. The problems were compiled during visits by members of parliament earlier this year as they toured various districts to assess service delivery in decentralized institutions. These problems are said to have negatively affected citizens, as reported directly to MPs during their field visits. The Umurenge Sacco Cooperative Program was launched in 2009 by the government to bring financial services closer to citizens, helping them to save money and access loans to improve their livelihoods. The Rwanda Revenue Authority has announced that in the 2024-2025 fiscal year, it collected 3,079.8 billion Rwandan francs in taxes, exceeding its target of 3,041.2 billion Rwandan francs by 1.3%. Strategies such as raising awareness on the issuance and collection of EBM receipts, offering VAT incentives, combating and intercepting smuggling, especially across borders, and rewarding those who request EBM receipts are among the efforts that helped the Rwanda Revenue Authority surpass its collection target. In the last fiscal year, 2024-2025, the number of issued EBM receipts rose significantly from over 117,000 to more than 147,000. Those who issued them stated they now clearly understand the importance of taxes in the country's development. However, during the same year, Rwanda Revenue Authority and its partner institutions conducted 1,430 operations targeting illegal trade. These operations seized various goods, mainly second-hand clothes and alcoholic beverages, that were being smuggled into the country. The crackdowns led to the recovery of over 14 billion Rwandan francs, and Rwanda Revenue Authority Commissioner Ronald Niwenshuti confirmed that anti-smuggling operations will continue.
Although the reconciliation is still ongoing, for the fiscal year 2024-2025, we collected 3,079.8 billion Rwandan francs in tax and non-tax revenues against a target of 3,041.2 billion Rwandan francs. There is an excess over the target of over 38.6 billion. This translates in an achievement of 101.3% with a growth of 16.7% when you compare this year to the year before. And again, we were able to support the budget to a tune of at least 52.9%. The key contributors to this performance mainly is the EBM campaign that we have been working with other stakeholders, such as the National Police, to ensure that taxpayers use ABM, but also consumers are able to request for invoices. As you all are aware, beginning of this year, we also started what we call the VAT reward incentives, where consumers were given 10% of the VAT that they pay. This reward, we managed to pay over $1 billion back to the consumers. And the total beneficiaries of this VAT reward are 83,356 beneficiaries. Another key factor, as you are aware, in the beginning of this year again, we activated the voluntary disclosure incentive to taxpayers who came forward to pay all the areas that they had not declared. Government waived for them penalties and interest, and this contributed 18.1 billion, and over 5,328 taxpayers participated. In customs, we have seen a growth of 21.9% of importations, and that has also contributed to the collection of taxes in customs duties and other taxes. Our measures with other stakeholders to combat smuggling has also led us to collect over 14.6 billion, and we have managed to conduct 1,430 cases of smugglers that we have stopped. We improved enforcement of tax arrears, and we managed to collect over 278 billion in tax arrears. Another factor that contributed to our tax collection is the economic growth, where we have witnessed an average growth of 8%. We also conducted taxpayer engagement, workshops and training, where we conducted over 173 sessions on different sectors such as manufacturing, construction, importers, wholesalers, and others. This has also improved compliance, but also awareness on tax matters.
For the 2025-2026 fiscal year, the Rwanda Revenue Authority has set a target of collecting 3,628 billion Rwandan francs in taxes and revenues, which represents 53% of the national budget of 7,032.5 billion Rwandan francs. To achieve this, new taxes will be introduced, including VAT on petroleum products and a 3% tourism levy on accommodation service providers. Moving ahead, the City of Kigali has assured members of Parliament from the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, that it will address the issues that led to its regression in implementing the recommendations of the Auditor General, having dropped from a 60% implementation rate to 51%. The Auditor General's report highlights various issues in Kigali's urban planning, including residents being allocated plots to build homes but later denied construction permits, delays in road construction projects where residents contribute 30% and the city provides 70%, and concerns over the quality of the roads that have been completed. The report also points to slow progress in housing upgrade projects in Kagugu and Rwezamenyo. Members of the PAC questioned the city of Kigali on the causes of these issues, which they said contributed to the city's backslide in implementing the Auditor General's recommendations. Kigali City Mayor Samuel Dusengiyumva explained that the road construction projects involving a 70% contribution from the city and 30% from residents were previously managed poorly, but new regulations have now been issued, including plans to rehabilitate roads that were poorly constructed. The committee also heard explanations from Muhima Hospital's management regarding complaints from patients who paid for medical services via mobile money, only to later report to telecom companies that the money was sent to the wrong account. The telecom providers would then refund the money, leaving the hospital with unrecovered payments, which now total over 200 million Rwandan francs in uncollected debts that the hospital has not followed up on. Muhima Hospital Director Dr. Stephen Mugisha noted that one of their major challenges is patients who seek treatment without the means to pay and leave without settling their bills, with local government authorities also failing to cover their costs on their behalf. The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Zaki Yakaremye, stated that they are studying ways to introduce an insurance mechanism to bridge the gap caused by unpaid bills from low-income patients. The MPs also heard a report on asset management from the leadership of Nyarugenge Hospital, where 617 assets were found not to have been valued, and 7 billion Rwandan francs was not recorded in the hospital's accounting books. Political analysts say that the continued use of mercenaries by the Democratic Republic of Congo shows a lack of will by the country to implement the peace agreements it signed with Rwanda. Adam Squizera has more on this report.
One of the key actions taken by the AFC M23 after capturing Goma was to allow around 300 mercenaries, mostly from Romania, to return to their country via Rwanda. However, reports indicate that DRC is still relying on mercenaries, including some from Romania and Colombia. Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, says this behavior poses a serious obstacle to the implementation of the peace agreement signed between the two countries. These are not the first agreements signed between Rwanda and DRC, or between DRC and other parts in the past 25 years. In fact, there have been around 10 agreements since 1999, none of which have been implemented by the government of DRC. We have seen a pattern where DRC consistently fails to honor its commitments. Secondly, while diplomatic discussions were ongoing in Washington, the DRC government was simultaneously engaging in military actions, procuring weapons such as attack drones, tanks from Asia, and working with foreign mercenaries. You may recall the Romanian mercenaries who passed through Rwanda and were found to be collaborating with the DRC in operations not just against Rwanda, but also against its own citizens. Now, new mercenaries have reportedly been brought in from Colombia. It's difficult to have hope in negotiations when such actions continue behind the scenes. On June 27, 2025, Rwanda and DRC signed a peace agreement in the presence of U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. According to the signatories and analysts, the outcomes of the ongoing negotiations between DRC and the AFC M23 will determine the direction of the peace deal, with many saying that the latter plays a significant role in uncovering the root causes of the conflict. Political analyst Dr. Eric Ndushabandi says that based on the current situation on the battlefield, there are concerns about the viability of the agreement. He appears to be insisting on continuing the fight, likely in an attempt to portray himself to the Congolese people as someone defending country's territorial integrity. However, when a leader repeatedly pushes for war, it often reflects an attempt to cover up internal weakness or avoid taking responsibility for failures. This also points deeper issues of poor governance within the DRC. Their inability to join efforts and implement agreements, as has been observed repeatedly, highlights a lack of capacity and political will to pursue sustainable solutions. In a recent press conference, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, emphasized that as long as Rwanda's security is threatened, the country will not seek anyone's permission to protect itself. He also stated that success of the Doha peace talks between M23 and the DRC should depend on the genuine will of the involved parties.
Equally important, there is another deal ongoing that concerns the internal groups of Congo, FC, M23, and the government, and maybe I don't know where else they will involve, that is being discussed and brokered in and by Qatar, the state of Qatar. You remember the story when I met with President Tshisekedi in Qatar, in Doha, and it originates from there. So these are two sides of really, that is DRC's problem, not anything to do with Rwanda.
The peace agreement between Rwanda and DRC was signed on June 27, 2025. Analysts say that while signing the agreement is important, the real challenge lies in its implementation.
At the Africa Level Tea and Coffee Expo that has been ongoing for the past 2 days, experts in quality assessment concluded that the continent possesses some of the best and most abundant tea and coffee in the world. This was during an awards ceremony recognizing top-performing tea and coffee processing companies, many of which were from Rwanda. These are some of the representatives of tea and coffee companies that outperformed others.
That's win, frankly speaking, is the farmers, is the work that we put all of us together as a team. And today again showed that after 20 years we can still make good coffee and bring the value as a company. So what I'm expecting from this is meeting new people and always presenting and bringing value of the Rwandan coffee. So visit Rwanda, come back next year. Those who couldn't come, you will definitely enjoy it and meet new people.
We were happy to sponsor certain events. One of those is the barista competition, which is a competition that's, shall I say, I have good passion. I have a huge amount of passion. The good thing about Rwandan coffee is that it is world-renowned, has been fantastic quality. It's not difficult to find good Rwandan coffee. Of course, we have to make choices. Yes, it's a task that you have to go, you have to search, you have to meet, you have to test, you have to taste. But as it's Rwanda, you can always find good quality coffee.
At Rwanda Mountain Tea, we have a very accelerated, I can say, policy on quality. So we have 9 factories in Rwanda, where most of our companies are always at the forefront of quality at the Africa level. Gatare won this prize today because of the quality, the daily dedicacy they put in products, in manufacturing the products, and we are not surprised because we know what we do, and we will continue to do that.
Experts in the tea and coffee sectors emphasize that knowledge in these beverages is crucial for Africa's development. Some of the participants in this tea and coffee expo came from various African countries. The international audit firm BDO has celebrated 10 years of operation in Rwanda, expressing satisfaction that the past decade has been a valuable period of delivering quality services in accounting and effective collaboration with various institutions, including government entities. During the 10-year anniversary celebration, the international firm that provides financial advisory services, audit, as well as tax and business consulting, was praised by its partners in Rwanda, who stated that the guidance they received enabled their projects to operate in compliance with regulations and to grow sustainably. The country managing partner of BDO East Africa, Rwanda, Emmanuel Habineza, stated that over the 10 years they have provided services in Rwanda, they also found a good opportunity to assist other countries in achieving transformative accounting.
From being handhold to become handholders as well, depending on full technical support, full marketing support from different offices of our network, to now be able to go support those offices into countries as far as Djibouti, Comoros, Congo Brazzaville, Equatorial Guinea. That is a very big merit of talents that have grown from full independence to now provide support.
BDO also went beyond providing financial support, contributing to environmental conservation efforts aimed at combating air pollution and protecting biodiversity, as highlighted by Sandeep Kafre, BDO's East Africa Regional CEO.
That we have made a commitment to bring down our current 2023 carbon footprint by 42% by 2030 and become net zero by 2050. This is a commitment that we have given. All the work that we have done so far in that was then certified by SBTi as a very valid thing. And not only that, we have done many such initiatives. If you come to our office, you will never find plastic bottles, and you will always find glass bottles. And of course, there's no plastic here, but in generally, and you would see that even on a regional basis, we've done 10,000 tree plantations and that kind of stuff. So there is a fair amount of effort made by BDO to be on the forefront of the net zero agenda, because we want to be good corporate citizens.
BDO's Global Chief Strategy and Operations Officer, Trond Morten, emphasized that throughout the years they have been delivering services, it has been a valuable journey for many, and the impact is evident.
It might not sound too much, but it is still remarkable starting from scratch in any business, and especially our kind of business, right? So I think it's been a remarkable journey. You know, looking at the Rwanda market in terms of our competition and so on, it's even more remarkable. We know we have strong competition from, well, backed by big global systems, and they've not been able to do what Emmanuel and his team has done. So I guess I'm not trying to be kind to this guy, but I'm deeply impressed with what he's been doing over the last 10 years.
BDO also indicated that in the coming years, they are looking forward to expanding their capacity to serve clients and increasing the number of people they support. Moving ahead, starting next week, Rwanda will launch an eye care initiative delivered aboard the Orbis Flying Eye Hospital, a state-of-the-art aircraft dedicated to eye health. Initially, the global eye care organization Orbis, in partnership with Rwanda International Institute of Ophthalmology, will offer specialized training for eye doctors. This will be followed by surgical procedures and eye treatments conducted inside the aircraft, as explained by Rio Hospital Director, Professor Chiku Mathenje.
Usually they need a host in the country, and we are very proud to be partnering, to have the partnership between Rio and Orbis Eye Hospital. So in summary, that's what it is. When Orbis comes into a country, what they're looking to do is support where they are asked to support. And in this country, it's to help people with eye conditions that are difficult to treat, sometimes because the expertise is not available in the country, or the resources needed to treat are not available in country. So that is what Orbis is bringing, and they do this by supporting young doctors to learn those new skills, and also supporting the patients who need those interventions.
Someone may hear that as first being which is coming behind Rwanda, and I think you should share a glimpse about the activities which are done throughout those days. You also tell us about how many days those healthcare activities are carried out and what is that?
Okay. So when the Flying Eye Hospital visits a country, it can spend 2 to 3 weeks in that country. In this case, for Rwanda, they will be here for 2 weeks. That is from the 23rd of July to the 3rd of August. While they're in country, their time here is split into 2 weeks, 2 separate activities per week. In the first week, the focus will be on training. So our young doctors, ophthalmologists in training will receive simulation training. Simulation training is when you learn a skill but not on a human being, and that's a very important step because you should be perfect before you go on a human being. Very similar to how pilots learn how to fly. So when you're training as a pilot, you first start on a simulator before you're given a real aeroplane. So we train eye doctors the same way. We have a lot of simulation tools. A lot of this cost a lot, so we don't have them in country, but maybe about 20 different types of simulation items will be brought to the country, and this will be used in the first week. In the second week, now the experts will be treating real patients. But as they treat the real patients, those ones who learned through simulation will get a chance to now watch what happens on a real patient. And hopefully after that, they will be able to continue applying those skills on their own patients. That is the way it is arranged. So first week is mainly simulation training, and the second week is real intervention, treating real patients, and the doctors will be these experts who come on the aeroplane. So the beneficiaries of this activity are determined by the local country, not by Orbis. So what Orbis does is it gives us a list of the experts who are coming. In this case, we have 4 areas of ophthalmology that they will bring experts in. The eye is small, but the eye can actually be divided into many parts, and each part needs a different expert. So in this case, we are looking at people with diseases of the retina, people with strabismus, emirari. We'll be looking at people with conditions where you need plastic surgery around the eye. We're not talking about cosmetic plastic surgery, but like people who have tumors and other things that destroy the way the eyes look, so that we call that oculoplastic. And the last one will be pediatric ophthalmology. Pediatric ophthalmology is eye conditions in children. So those will be the 4 areas that we will focus on, and we always do cataract, because cataract is the leading cause of blindness in the world and also in Rwanda. And we will be doing cataract surgery, but using high technology. So I can answer both from Orbis side and from Rio side. So as I said, Orbis always looks for a local partner to host the Flying Eye Hospital. Now, Orbis doesn't have a local office in Rwanda, so they rely on partners who invite them, and the invitation has to go through the Ministry of Health. For us as Rio, we have heard about Orbis. We have interacted with them previously on other projects. For example, we did a large project with artificial intelligence in the country with Orbis, so we knew about them and we knew they have the Flying Eye Hospital. So Rio basically invited Orbis to bring the plane to Rwanda. To bring the plane to Rwanda is a big commitment that costs a lot of money and a lot of resources. So we were very honored actually that Orbis accepted the invitation, and once they accepted, we then now direct them to the Ministry of Health, which is the one that provides the formal invitation. So it's based on being invited by somebody who knows they can make all the arrangements that are needed, but also the Ministry of Health in the country must be part of the agenda, and we have a strong partnership with our Ministry of Health at the moment.
In Rwanda, we
You're asking that as Orbis. How is Orbis or how is Rio? Okay. I can answer from both sides, and that's a really important question. It is true there is an acute shortage of health workers in the country, and the government has tried many initiatives to try and bridge that gap. The most well-known now is called the 4x4 initiative, where we want to quadruple the number of health workers in 4 years. So what is our contribution as Rio? So Rio has contributed in 2 ways. So the first one is that we have a school of ophthalmology, and this school of ophthalmology was the first training program for eye specialists in the country. And we have so far graduated 10 ophthalmologists, and this is the first time that we have what we call Made in Rwanda ophthalmologists. And at the moment we have 16 in training. We started off with a first class training only Rwandans. We actually now have trainees from 5 different countries, including as far as the Bahamas. So we are becoming an institution that has reputation beyond even our continent. Our trainees sit international exams, and they have been coping with all those exams. And early this year, we became the first program in Africa to be accredited by the Ophthalmology Foundation, and we received accreditation at the advanced level. We were expecting it at basic level, but we actually qualified for advanced level. As we deliver training, because we are not a government-funded institution, we are a private institution. So we are really grateful for the support we've received in government. We are contributing to their dream of increasing health workers, but they also support us by bringing partners our way. So Orbis, for example, has been part of support to our training program, and because it fits also with their mandate. And we have many other organizations who are partners of the ministry, but who support us as we train here. Again, as Rio, we have been very involved in primary eye care training. Primary eye care means you train a nurse in a health center so that they know the basics of how to treat eyes, which is not something that they are involved in every day. And the authors of the current curriculum that is used in the country are actually experts from Rio. And just this year, for example, we have done refresher training for about 158 nurses from 4 districts, Karongi, where Ruhengeri is, Rwamagana, Musanze, and Gasabo.
This flying eye hospital will run for 2 weeks from the 21st of July all the way to the 3rd of August 2025, and will take place at Kigali International Airport.
During lapse moments, laying hooks, giving away, making moves, breakfast with family. Inyanje is always there. Whatever the occasion, whatever the moment, always ask for Inyanje.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo agira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi hari abamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njya muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko nashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashisha, ariko byaragiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo. Bigereho.
muyobozi wa sosiyete, turakwibutsa ko buri sosiyete isabwa n'itegeko kubika ibitabo bya sosiyete ndetse no gushyikiriza RDB amakuru abikubiyemo. Ibyo bitabo birimo igitabo cy'abanyamigabane, icy'abagenewe inyungu ku migabane, inyandiko y'amakuru ya sosiyete, ibaruramari ngarukamwaka n'izindi. Gutanga amakuru y'ugenewe inyungu ku migabane wanyura kuri bo.rdb.rw, naho gutanga izindi nyandiko ukanyura kuri org.rdb.rw.
Thank you once again for sticking with us on RTV News, and a warm welcome back to other stories making headlines on the international scene. Now over to Ukraine. The U.S. is to resume deliveries of weapons to Ukraine. The U.S. President Donald Trump says they will send additional supplies to Kyiv after Russia claimed new gains in the war. Moscow continues to hammer Ukraine with deadly aerial attacks, including drones that now play a key part in the conflict. Both sides are now upping their own production as they adapt to this evolving form of modern warfare. DW News with the details.
An overnight attack on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. Terror from the skies and the telltale roar of a Shahed-style drone. The Shahed is a drone Russia initially bought from Iran and is now making its own version of. A Shahed carrying a warhead costs between $50,000 and $80,000 to produce, as opposed to millions for cruise missiles. Now Russia is ramping up its production so that assaults with hundreds of drones are possible. They've also evolved the design. Earlier Shaheds flew low and were easy to shoot down with machine guns. Now they fly much higher and dive bomb vertically to hit their targets. Ukraine's air defenses are scrambling to react. It has sophisticated equipment like U.S.-supplied Patriot missile batteries seen here in file footage. But the missiles to shoot down drones cost more than the drones themselves and are in increasingly short supply. Ukraine is also ramping up production of drones, using 3D printing to build interceptors meant to take down Shaheds at a fraction of their price. But Russia has a much bigger industrial base, putting Ukraine at a disadvantage. A new deal to produce Ukrainian weapons in Denmark may help even out the battlefield. But it comes as the U.S. has diverted weapons meant for Ukraine to the Middle East. Another challenge for Kyiv. Since the war started, Ukraine has had to adapt constantly to keep Russia at bay. Unfortunately for Ukraine, the Russians have adapted too.
And that DW story marks the end of our bulletin. Before we close off, let's have a quick recap of our headlines. The Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning says it is continuing to find sustainable solutions to the challenges affecting the operations of Umurenge Sacco cooperatives. Rwanda Revenue Authority has announced that in the 2024-2025 fiscal year, it collected 3,079.8 billion Rwandan francs in taxes, exceeding its target of 3,041.2 billion Rwandan francs by 1.3%. On the international scale, the U.S. is to resume deliveries of weapons to Ukraine as the U.S. President Donald Trump says they will send additional supplies to Kyiv after Russia claimed new gains in the war. And that concludes our English news bulletin tonight. We, on behalf of the news production team as well as the technical team, thank you for sticking with us. My name is Martina Avera, and until next time, stay safe and have a good night.